Hi guys, welcome back to Dudley Central. You join me on the second part of the hillside how-to videos, and in this video I'm going to do a adding the ground cover kind of feature. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some greenery, some trees, bushes, other bits and bobs, and yeah, I hope this is helpful. Comments are always welcome. So one of the recent areas I've been working on is this small little diorama on the line side. I just wanted to create a small kind of network rail diorama with a line side hut and a bit of fencing, some weeds. I just thought this would look good next to the line side, and what I want to do is I want to use the techniques that I've used on here to kind of finish that whole run in a way. So I'll show you what I've used and the techniques that I use for putting ground cover down now. So in front of you you'll see all the products that I like to use on building up the ground cover. In my previous video you saw I used the Woodland Scenics Earth Blend. I still keep that out because sometimes you can go a bit over the top with green, so this will just make it look a little more subtle and realistic. So you can come back over with this and change the tones. So yes, I stick with that. I mix this up myself actually. I use a bit of coarse and fine green turf. I just feel this this looks good, adds a bit of colour and adds a bit of shape as well. I use green bushes, and sometimes I use the reeds that Woodland Scenics use. I probably won't use these on the hillside, but on the canal I'll certainly be using those. I also use this, it's called underbrush. This is a little bit thinner than the bushes, and you can use this to create weeds and all kinds of bits and pieces. Another thing that I've started using, I've never used it before, is it's called foliage, and this stuff's fantastic for little bushes like this. Now I think it comes out well as maybe like nettles or other kinds of weeds like that. It's just something a little bit different to the bushes, and it just makes the scene a little more interesting. And you can use that with I never know how to pronounce it, to be honest. Is it lichen or lichen? And what you can do is you can combine the two and you'll create some very convincing weeds. Finally we've got some static grass. Now I've always used I think it's World War Scenics static grass. It's WWS, and they've got a huge range on eBay. So what I'll use a summer blend, some 2mm summer and a bit of 2mm dead. I find this creates like an interesting blend of colours, and it just makes it all look a little more interesting. So yeah, I'll show you what I do next, and yeah, we'll go from there. I should also mention I've used, to be honest, this is something I should probably have a go at making trees myself, but these are readily assembled Woodland Scenics trees, and I'll be using those in those positions. They are actually glued down at the moment. I'll just use a little bit of PVA and glued them into position. I'll be taking the castles away when I add the scenics, but once the scenics are done they'll be going back on. So as with before, I'm just going to put a load of glue down and just work on the earth blend for now, just see if there's any parts that are missing or not quite glued down properly. So I'll just come across like that. See, some bits haven't quite glued down. That's not a problem. it's okay. I'll just come back in afterwards. Now you want to really soak this if you can. There we go. So at this point I like to add some coarse turf. Don't want to put it on too densely. Something like that will do. As I say, the best thing to do is to come back in with your original earth blend and come back in over so it all blends it together. So once you're happy with that, I like to come in with the lichen and the underbrush to create some shape. So what I like to do is start with a lichen like that, and just add it in, and dot it in a few places. By itself I don't think it looks all that great, but it's once you add all the other scenic bits and bobs on top, that's when it really comes into its own. And as you're going along, sometimes it's a good idea to just add a bit of glue on it, to kind of seal it. The underbrush is again a different kind of texture. It's a bit thinner, and you want to kind of spread that out a bit so you get different textures and colours. And again, you can come in with your coarse turf as well, just to make it look a little bit different, interesting. In terms of foliage, well, that comes on like comes together in like a weird string-like kind of texture, and you can pull it apart and thin it out. Now I've found the more you stretch it, the more realistic it actually looks. And if you put it on top of your lichen, you get a really interesting and realistic, I think, looking bush like that. So yeah. And for areas where you want static grass, you're going to want to put a screw in the area where you're working. This is so that the static actually works. The next important thing is to absolutely soak this area, particularly around the screw, and everywhere you want to put static grass. The whole area needs to be absolutely soaking. So I'll be back in a minute once I actually have some glue. So once you're happy that your area is completely wet and allowed to set in, what you want to do is get your static applicator, clip it onto your screw like so, and then you're ready to go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start with some of the 4mm summer blend. Now once you're happy with your static grass, what you want to do is you want to come in with some hairspray just to seal it all in, and then just make sure it keeps the shape of it, seals it all in. There we go. And now you want to, if you want, you can now add all the little bits and pieces again, like the foliage and the underbrush. Yeah, so maybe like little bits like that which want filling in. Like that. So yeah, you can really come up with some interesting colours and shapes with the scenic products. So normally you wouldn't particularly get grass on a steep section, so it's good coming in with bits like this underbrush and the foliage. Not only to add interest, but it just looks a bit more realistic. And then we'll come in with the foliage again. And there we go. So yeah, it's up to you at the end of the day. You can go for different colours. Obviously there's autumn colours, winter colours. I personally prefer a summer kind of blend of colours, so I tend to stick with light greens and medium greens. That's my favourite, but you can really come up with loads of different combinations of colours. So so yeah, I'd advise leaving it overnight then to dry, and then yeah, it's pretty much done. So I've let that all dry overnight, and I'm quite happy with how it all looks now. I did add a little bit of soil over the top in some areas just to darken it down, but yeah, I'm really happy with it, to be honest. I think it ties in really well with this diorama that I've created. So the castle will be coming soon, I promise that. I hope this has been helpful to you, and yeah, feel free to comment and subscribe as usual. Bye from me now.